Well, I mean, I think that's a little bit hard to determine because in a professional league of multiple teams, and when I say a league, you want to be able to have competitive balance within the league. And if a player or an individual can choose based on the city to go to whatever respective team that he wants, you may have, you're going to have some discrepancy in terms of the talent pool and the competitive nature of it. So if everybody wants to go to Chicago, you only can have 12 jobs in Chicago. Chicago going to get all the best players. What about Dallas? What about Washington? What about these other cities? Detroit, Indiana, where they may not be metropolis of cities, but they still have passion for the game of basketball. And you're starting to see a little bit of it now to where all the stars are starting to gang up and go on one team. I think it's going to hurt the overall aspect of the league from a competitive standpoint. And you're going to have just one or two teams that's going to be great, and then the other 28 teams are going to be garbage. Or they're going to have a tough time surviving in the business environment.
So what role, positive or negative, does an agent play in helping the young man make the best decisions?
Well, I'll give you a good example. Because
and I ask you that because you're not only a
no,
player,
because
but you're an owner.
I was on the same side. Yeah, I was on the other side. Now I'm on this side.
Yeah.
And I think where the agent's responsibilities is to educate the individuals, educate the kids to be able to make sound decisions from where they sit or what they think they want. A lot of times you have the agents making decisions based on what they want as opposed to what the players want. And sometimes it's not even in the best interest of the players. It may be in the best interest of the agents. I think if you can regulate that, which is very tough, if you can moderate that to where that player or that athlete's going to be educated about his positions, that he can make sound decisions that's going to be best suited for him and his family, that's the correct agenda. My agent, when I came out of college, I had obviously I was in college for 3 years. Coach Smith, my parents taught me, the right from wrong, taught me to understand and listen and learn. And then I got with an agent that basically educated me about the positions that I was in, how to, to manage my own, my personalities, the business aspect, how that translates into, in the business world, things of that nature. To a point now, I can do a lot of those things on my own. It's an education. I lived an education. I went through an education based on, how my life was, was lived. I think that can be very helpful for the kids today, but because the agent is not that motivated or not, that's not their energy, they're not teaching the kids. And the kids then, by the time they're not used to the agent, I think it's going to now have the overall no decision making, knowledge. A lot of you're going to have just one or two teams that's going to be great. Well, money. I give you can avoid some of those problems, especially.
And I ask you that because you're not only a player,
because
but you're an owner.
I was on the same side. Yeah, I was on the other side. Now I'm on this side. And I think with the agent's best responsibility, the best support system they have is the agent. So if the agent's not going to educate them, you tell me they're going to learn, the pros and cons about being. Sometimes you have the agents making decisions based on finances. So when they're not represented by that agent, when they're out of the game of basketball, out of the game of football, can they still articulate and make decisions just, from a business sense? I think that's one of the major issues. You see a lot of players who, when they retire, they have no money. They've mismanaged their money. They have
in all sports.
In all sports, not just basketball, football, baseball, whatever.
So you talked earlier. You mentioned about the competition between cities, and it's a sort of a dual question. You can go wherever you want with it, but you now are the owner of Charlotte.
Right.
I assume you're at a competitive disadvantage in a lot of ways. And also the audiences who watch basketball are declining over the years. I think it peaked when you were playing.
Right.
Some people say there are just too many teams and the talent pool is diluted. And the economics really favor the bigger cities in a large way. I'm sure you didn't buy the Charlotte team to be an also ran. You want to win the big prize.
Sure.
Do you have a shot? How can you develop your team to become a winner?
Well, I
being
think,
from Charlotte?
yeah, well, it takes a lot of work, which I'm not afraid of. It takes a lot of, you know, forwardly thinking, seeing good talent, nurturing new talent, developing new talent. One of the biggest issues we do have is we're not a Chicago, we're not a LA. So you have to create a culture, a winning culture, and you got to be able to connect that basketball team to the support system within that community. One of the biggest reasons why I bought the team initially, well, I felt the team was under preserved, under operated because they were not connected to the community. Charlotte led the league for 10 years. When they first came into the league, led the league in attendance for 10 years, which was a huge economical, support for that city. And the talent pool followed that. They had good teams that went to the Eastern Conference Finals. They won 50